We are experiencing a capital rotation from Zcash to Monero XMR. Zcash had quite a few problems, and so maybe this is a chance for Monero to shine. All eyes are on privacy coins today, Monero and Zcash being the most viewed cryptocurrencies. Now, what happened with Zcash? The main developer team quit after a governance clash. So that's the electric coin company in dispute with Bootstrap. Now, Zcash did not always outperform. Actually, the very long-term chart of ZEC relative to all other altcoins is very bad. This is Zcash relative to the others market cap. We looked at this in prior Zcash videos on this channel as well. The rally really started in August of last year. An outperformance versus the rest of the altcoin market by 1,500%. Now here we've got the same for Monero. This is XMR relative to the others market cap. It's a long-term chart that starts in 2014. Also relatively constant underperformance up until March of 2024. But since then, we are outperforming by a bit over 600%. Now here's something you very likely have never seen. This is now XMR relative to Zcash, so we can see how capital might be rotating from Monero to Zcash, from Zcash to Monero. Very long term, XMR tended to outperform ZEC. Then came the big Zcash rally, so XMR relatively speaking underperformed, but now things turn around again. But it's important not just to compare prices, because a chart like this might imply that maybe 1,600% outperformance. But it's very unlikely, because have a look at this. This is the market cap of Zcash. It's currently at 6.6 billion. It peaked at 11 billion. Here's the market cap of Monero. It's now very close to where Zcash peaked at 11 billion. So even if Zcash was to lose all of its momentum, and if that would go back to below $1 billion market cap, that would only help Monero's market cap by another 50% or so. So really, relative outperformance of 50% is more likely than more than 1000%, at least if the bet is long Monero. Now Zcash can go down a lot, of course, but Monero will not necessarily outperform by 10x if Zcash stays stable, simply because of the market cap relation. Another 10x in Monero, so a market cap above 100 billion, would put it above Solana. Is that very likely? I do not think so. And why is it not very likely? It's because of how much the chain is used. By the way, if you so far enjoy this content and you don't want to miss future videos, then feel free to subscribe. I publish videos regularly over here. Check out the number of Zcash transactions over time. Every now and then we get our rally and our spikes. Let's add Monero to that chart. The growth is much more constant. Yes, we do have our transaction spikes as well, but in general, Monero is getting used much more than Zcash. So there is justification for a higher market cap of Monero relative to Zcash. It's already slightly higher with the recent rally, right? 11 billion. Versus 6, but the number of transactions might justify an even bigger delta. Monero is actually one of the very few altcoins that have been able to keep pace with Bitcoin. What we see over here, that's the XMR price relative to the Bitcoin price historically. Most altcoins tend to underperform Bitcoin over the very long term. That's not necessarily true for Monero. This chart starts in 2014. The dotted line over here, that's the average ratio of XMR relative to BTC. If we assume that both assets long term perform the same, then there's still a little bit of potential outperformance to the equilibrium, a bit over 20%. I think this positive development long term is maybe also one of the reasons why the funding rate for Monero on the perpetual futures market, on the derivatives market, tends to be positive, even after October 10th. Right? October 10th was where many perpetual futures traders got liquidated, including, of course, many Monero traders as well. But then what happened for most other altcoins is that the funding rate turned negative most of the time. The longs got liquidated, they lost their money, and the shorts stayed in business. And that's what's causing negative funding rates for most other altcoins. Not so for Monero though. Monero tends to be long-term a better asset. Trading volume is not necessarily that elevated, but the amount of bets on Monero measured in open interest on the perpetual futures market, that's very high, and that's potentially concerning. There is correlation between the bets on a price, so that's open interest, and the spot price. When there's more bets, the spot price tends to be elevated. When there's less bets, the spot price tends to go down. And again, open interest currently is quite high. It's at 177 million, and if this comes down, then of course Monero will come down with it. This does not necessarily mean that the rally is already over, because as we've already seen, ZEC has a smaller market cap than Monero. Its open interest is much larger. Zcash has a lot of leverage baked into its price, 841 million to be exact. If Monero was to get the same kind of open interest exposure, then of course we could rally much higher. Sometimes prior all-time highs do get broken, and what might appear short-term as a top can then turn out to be the start of a bigger rally. But again, let's stay realistic. The market cap is already at 10 billion. Monero is very unlikely going to 10x. It might double, it might triple from here, but this is clearly a momentum trade, right? We have turned around at similar market caps in the past in Monero as well. In other words, please proceed with caution. Please use stop losses. Don't be in the asset when it moves from 10 billion down to 2 billion. If you're interested to follow my own trades, then feel free to check out the premium membership. Here is my track record over the last 4 years. Buying and holding would have given me the performance here in gray. Because I follow the momentum and do relative valuation trades, I got this performance here in black. Here is the monthly alpha over buying and holding Bitcoin. Yes, some months are not positive. On average, the alpha is 1.9%. And if we then apply some leverage, that's the performance we got since summer of 2025, when I opened an automated copy trading pool. So Bitcoin lost 25%, we won 17%. Again, we try to achieve performance independent of the general market environment. So all of that is available in premium. The link to premium pops up here on the screen. If it's your very first time here, feel free to subscribe as well. I publish videos regularly. See you next time on YouTube or see you in premium. Cheers.